I had an uncle. He was very gifted, and he was my initial inspiration. How I got here was almost like it felt like I was born to be an artist, in a sense.
Hello, Pierre. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Jared.
Good. Thank you for doing this episode of the Artists of Bakersfield.
Of course.
Again, this is episode 5 of the Artists of Bakersfield. We are here today with Pierre Igoa. He is a local artist. And Pierre, the first thing I always ask everybody, of course, is, do you consider yourself an artist?
Yes, I do consider myself an artist, and that's a question that I've asked myself. Am I an artist? Am I a craftsperson? What am I? But I think an artist is someone who paints not only with their hands, their mind, but also with their heart. So I put a lot of emotion into my artwork.
Wow. Wow. And you are unique, in my opinion. You are both a painter and a musician. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so for me, music came fairly easily, and going back even with art, I just remember being a little kid, my mom telling me, you need to do this, but just, do it quickly. And I said, Mom, I can't. I'm an artist. So I kind of knew when I was a kid that I was an artist. So music was something I think I always had a really good ear. I picked up music kind of just naturally, and I think I was a good singer. I remember being in the choir early on when I was in elementary school, and then soon enough picked up the trumpet and stayed with the trumpet. Yeah. So nowadays I dabble in a lot of stuff, accordion, piano, ukulele, harmonica. There's a lot of things. I think my wife is probably wondering when I'm going to stop collecting instruments, but yeah, I have a lot of instruments as well. But as you'll see later in the video, our house is full of my artwork as well, so my visual art.
Wow. Wow. And out of all that art, what is your favorite, or what do you tend to lean toward?
I've painted everything from still life to landscapes, but being that I'm Basque, French Basque, and lived in the Basque Country, gosh, if you count all the times that I've lived there, it's about 5 or 6 years. I'm really drawn to representing the Basque culture. And so one of the things that I focus on is people. So I love to do a lot of portraitures, and as you can see behind me, artwork that captures the way of life of Basque people. So I tend to paint, faces. They kind of come to me fairly easily. Never been anything that I really struggled with. So. Hopefully that answers that question.
Oh, I think it did. Now this painting behind you, now that you mention it, can you tell us a little more about this painting?
Yeah,
what its nature is? Yeah,
so this one in Basque, I call it Gure Artzainak Etasumi, which means our sheep herders. And then Sumi is a name that it seemed like a lot of Basque people, at least that I encountered in the Basque Country, name their dog, their sheepdog, oftentimes like a name here, Fido or Bruno, or a very typical dog name. In the Basque Country, they say Sumi. I don't know what it means. So this was something I wanted to capture, these two sheep herders, which here they are at an echola. And the echola is it stands for a little chalet or a little mountain house, and it's where they make their cheese. And so here you can see some paraphernalia from the cheese making. They have a little trough over here, and there's some walking sticks and whatnot, but this to me is like very typical of a Basque Basque gentleman. So painted this back in 1991. So yeah,
wow,
this is one of my favorites.
Now, Out of all your paintings, what was your favorite to work on?
The favorite to work on. As you might see later, I painted a mural back in 1987. That was a year and 4 months to paint that. I might not have painted it every day, but that to date is my largest work. It measures over 26 feet wide and almost 6 feet tall. And it's on one single stretched canvas, so it's an actual painting, but I refer to it as the mural, my mural. So, yeah.
Wow. And I've actually seen that mural before. It's just incredible.
Thank you.
In fact, it's one of those pieces that you could look at 100 times and still not see everything in it. Mm-hmm. You did such a beautiful job telling the story, and it's nothing short of wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for doing it. And I know the Basque community is hopefully especially appreciated it, and we all appreciate that.
Thank you.
Now, we're still in the midst of COVID-19. How has that affected your work thus far?
I think what actually COVID-19, the pandemic, what it did is it made me focus more. I worked since March of 2019 until about June of this year, March of 2020 until about June of 2021, I worked remotely, so I worked from home. That allowed me to, minus the commute time that I would normally have had going to work and back, and even the ability to paint or think about my artwork during times where I would have normally been commuting, because I think the biggest hurdle I had in the past as an artist is doing my artwork on a daily basis. It was something that, with a full-time job, although I consider myself an artist, I do make my livelihood as a manager of web services. So that type of work, it takes a good part of my day. So one thing that the pandemic did do is, interestingly enough, give me a little bit more flexibility to be able to paint and to express myself musically almost every day, because I was able to take a quick break, pick up the accordion, and actually it was the accordion that I started playing during the pandemic. So it was a nice little pastime in between, during a lunch meeting. Instead of taking a full hour, I would eat quickly, have the kitchen right here, and then go and play for 20-30 minutes, or on a given day go in my studio, go in the garage, and I ended up finishing up a lot of semi-finished paintings during the pandemic. So it actually was a blessing.
And I like that you use that time to expand and go to the accordion. Mm-hmm. Now, before you were doing the trumpet, is that correct? Right,
yeah. I played the trumpet since, let's say, since I was in the fourth or fifth grade. So what would that have been? I was about 9 or 10 years old. Got really serious about it more towards high school. Did a lot of independent study, and then around the age of 19 or 20, I started taking trumpet lessons from Charles Brady, who was a wonderful trumpet player, a wonderful musical instructor here in town, really a blessing of Bakersfield. And so with him, under his tutelage, I studied the trumpet and got a lot better throughout the years. So now, one thing with the pandemic, what did happen is I started playing the trumpet a lot less, because keeping up the trumpet is very physical, and so the accordion was something that I could easily keep up, and or in this case, keep up or start playing. And anyways, hopefully that answers some of your questions here. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Now, if you had to choose just one art form, what would that be?
Gosh, one art form. I don't know. I kind of go back and forth, but I think that probably longevity, visual art is probably something that I think I'll probably do a lot longer, and especially I'll probably do that into my retirement. And I've started selling a lot of my artwork. Where in the past I had some commissions. The mural that I talked about earlier, it was something that was commissioned when I was 22 years old. I just find that the visual arts are something that, at least for me, will be something that I'll probably do for a lot longer. So I probably focus more on visual arts. But I would never completely give up music, because it just seems like it's something that fills me up in another way and helps me express myself in other ways. So
it sounds like both art forms fulfill you in different ways.
Right.
Now, have you tried to experiment with just another completely different kind of art form?
Well, I mean, one thing that I did, and it was probably early on too, in my 20s, and I still have a lot of this equipment. I did silk screening. So silk screening is a different kind of art form. I mean, it can be very commercial, but it allows you to create designs and then print them. So you can make a lot of copies and you can print them on different materials. It can be on paper, cardboard, cloth. So I have experimented on that, and I've done a little bit of sculpture, but really sculpture was something that I did more like for character design, things of that sort. But yeah, I think that would be something that I would want to explore, is maybe when it comes to sculpture, is get into bronze. So something like that, I think I would like to explore the three-dimensional form, because it seems like a lot of things that, obviously visual arts that I've done it's very two-dimensional, where three-dimensional sculptures would maybe exercise that part of my mind and my creative eye to look at something from different angles and make sure that whether it's a sculpture, let's say if this painting was a sculpture, I would have to capture the form of these gentlemen, and from every angle it would be a nice composition. And I think that's something that I'd like to explore in the future.
Now, with everything that you've done, with painting and everything that you've talked about, how did you get here? What is your story, per se? Well,
so I mentioned that I as early as, when I was just a young kid, that I was, I thought of myself as an artist. I had an uncle who lived in the Basque Country, lived in France. He was very gifted, and so I think I saw him, and he was my initial inspiration. And then over time, I was influenced by a lot of American artists, so artists like Norman Rockwell. So I think I was always, I knew that it interested me, but I looked to others to get more inspiration and say, what is it about their artwork that I'd like to emulate or I'd like to learn from? So yeah, it just seems like it was a long time ago that I just kind of thought I was an artist, and so how I got here was almost like it felt like I was born to be an artist in a sense.
Wow. I don't think everybody we've interviewed, I don't think anybody has ever said that. Born to do this. That's really unique. Now, that brings me to my next question. Who is your favorite artist of all the artists out there?
Favorite? Well, I mentioned Norman Rockwell, but there are a lot of Western painters that I really love. So there's like everybody knows, Remington and those early artists that painted a lot of Western kind of subjects. But there's one that is well known if you collect original Western paintings, and the name is Frank Tenney Johnson. He was really known for capturing a lot of moonlit scenes that before, when somebody would paint a moonlit scene, they tended to just stay in a blue palette. It was like really dark blues, and I picked up, there's times that I just saw something and I just knew that was an amazing artist, and then later to find out the story that, he was, in this case, he was really a pioneer of that type of painting. And then there are artists throughout I'll just say the modern world. If you go back even to impressionistic painters like Toulouse-Lautrec is a well-known painter from that era, or of course Van Gogh and Pissarro and Monet. There's a lot of painters from that era. I tend to stay away from, or maybe not necessarily express myself in an abstract form. So abstract artists, things like Picasso and Cubism, I appreciate them, but not necessarily things that inspire me. So favorite artists, there's a lot of them, so not just one.
Wow. Now, you mentioned the mural was your favorite thing to work on. What is your next major project, or what are you hoping to achieve next?
Well, being that I have a lot of artwork, I would, at this point, I've kept a lot and I've never really sold things. So I'm waffling between wanting to sell more of my own artwork that I've collected over time, and also put things on exhibit. So I would like to someday have my own studio, my own art gallery, and maybe even represent other artists, and inspire others to express themselves through their art. So as far as a next project, well, I always have another painting, another idea that I would like to capture, and then the reason behind it, So, but I'll just say, stay tuned. I won't necessarily say what's my next project, but you'll see it hopefully if you follow me. Yeah.
That's great. And can they follow you on social media? Do you have?
Yeah, I'm actually, so my middle initials are F and X because my parents gave me two middle names, Francois and Xavier. So you can actually find me under Pierre FX on Instagram. And then I do have a Etsy account where I sell some prints, and that's at a site called, so if you go to etsy.com/Basque Roots, and also I have a Facebook page that's called Basque Roots. So another thing is thinking about more, how do I promote myself rather than promote this brand that I've started called Basque Roots. So, but yeah, you can find me there. And then I'm hoping to exhibit soon, but I'll keep people posted. But that might be at a gallery here coming soon.
And where's the gallery going to be, or do you know?
It's actually, I'm in talks with a gentleman named David Gordon, and he runs what's called Big Dog. Oh, wait a minute. Bird Dog Arts, and it's actually a over 11,000 square foot gallery that's at the outlets at the Tone Ranch. So he's just waiting for me to he's already seen some of my artwork and he wants to display some of them, so I'm just framing some to get them to him so he can put them on display. So,
wow, that's great. Congratulations, Pierre.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we hope that goes really well for you. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
And thank you for everything that you've done thus far for Bakersfield and the Basque community. So Pierre, thank you for being here today and letting us interview.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a great day and good luck with everything.
Thank you.